I'm Josh Schimmels, publisher and CEO of the Los Angeles Business Journal, and it's an honor to be hosting the 2020 Women's Leadership Awards. Welcome to our final day of the three-part series. Hopefully, you were able to join us for part one, part two, or both parts over the last couple of weeks, where we hosted a total of 6 panels on many subjects, ranging from leadership changes, finance in today's economy, and mentorship and sponsorship, and really just about everything in between. We had some fantastic conversations, and I want to again thank each of our moderators and panelists for all of their time and energy put into this series. So thank you all so much. If you did miss all or some of the panels, we have the recordings available up on our website for you to view and to share. Today, we're making a shift from learning to celebrating. We're going to be recognizing some of the most brilliant minds in all of Los Angeles. We're going to start things off with the 2020 version of a fireside chat. There's no fire, and we're only able to actually be side by side due to technology, but we are going to have a great conversation with our diamond sponsor, UBS. After that, we'll formally begin the awards portion of the program, and we'll start to announce our finalists and our winners. I want to thank the amazing support, the wonderful ideas, and the encouragement that we've received from our sponsors this year. They really helped us to reimagine what the series would look like, and we're very grateful for all of their partnerships. So many thanks to first our diamond sponsor, UBS. Thank you to our 5 platinum sponsors, Greenhouse and Jenks, Pepperdine Graziadio Business School, RSM, UCLA Anderson School of Management, and Wells Fargo. Thank you all so much for your input in this program. We also want to show our appreciation for all of our gold sponsors who've joined us throughout the series. Bank of America, Camden Capital, KPMG, LA Care Health Plan, Miller Barrondes, Montage Insurance Solutions, United Cerebral Palsy of Los Angeles, Ventura, and Santa Barbara counties, the Private Bank at Union Bank, Union Station Homeless Services, and Vita Ventures. Thank you all so much for your continued partnerships. We couldn't do this without you. And finally, I'd like to continue to acknowledge the women's leadership team here at the LA Business Journal. I was thinking about this group last night because a few of us started our media careers together here at the LA Business Journal. And I did the math, and we have a combined 43 years working together. So it's been outstanding. We've got a great team in place. So many, many thanks again to Stephanie Barbarin, Managing Editor, Nina Bays, Creative and Production Director, Alex Davila, Executive Director of Events and Marketing, Eva Ducey, Senior Advertising Manager, and Ellen Mazin, National Advertising Sales Manager. Thank you all so much for all that you do. If you've been joining us over the last couple of weeks, you've met a couple of them of this team. And today I'd like to introduce you to Eva Ducey. She's our Senior Advertising Manager. Eva.
Thank you, Josh, and good afternoon and welcome to our awards event. I'm Eva Ducey, Senior Advertising Executive, and I've been with the Los Angeles Business Journal for over 20 years. I'm so proud to work for a company that believes in diversity and allows me to have a seat at the table. In fact, 2/3 of our staff are women, and I'm so fortunate to work alongside many of them to be continually inspired, challenged, and empowered. The Women's Leadership Award has always been my favorite event. From collaborating with our sponsors in bringing you this year's reimagined Zoom event, listening to the amazing panelists over the last 2 weeks, and reading the countless stories of this year's accomplished women, it has been truly uplifting and rewarding experience for me. So enjoy the program, and congratulations to this year's Class of 2020 Women Leaders nominees.
Eva, thank you so much. You have been a rock for this team for as long as I can remember. And I really want you to know how much I appreciate all that you do and all that you do for our partners as well. You know, this event is very important to me for a number of reasons. First, and our panel last week actually had a whole discussion on mentorship and sponsorship. We're seeing companies today creating internal women's leadership initiatives. We've talked about the importance of being expansive and ensuring that both men and women are taking active roles in sponsorship of the success of female employees. Second, on a personal note, and I'm always happy and excited to talk about this, so I can't say it too many times, I'm the father of two daughters. And a couple of weeks ago, so I shared a short story in our first panel, but I left out the first half of the story, mainly because I wanted to share it today for today's awards, since it's particularly relevant. So 2 years ago, I was getting ready to host an event very similar to this. It was our women's symposium, and I was at the venue the night before the event. I was doing sound checks on stage. My girls were there with me. And of course, like any kid, you see an open mic in an open room, you take the opportunity to jump on. So they were playing with the mics and they were looking at the awards. And at one point, I looked over at my daughters and I said, hey, maybe someday you can be up here on stage handing out an award just like I'm going to tomorrow. And my older daughter, she didn't even hesitate or blink or take a second. She just kind of said to me, no offense, Dad, I don't want to be you handing out the awards. I want to be one of the women getting the awards. And it was really a cool moment because I just kind of paused and I smiled and I thought to myself, yes, that's right. That is the attitude. And that's exactly why we do events like this. So then last year, I was talking to her about the same event. And this time I asked if she wanted to get involved. To be fair, took a little bit of convincing and poking and prodding, but she agreed. And it was really special because I got to watch her get on stage in front of more than 600 women at a live event and announce our Women's Award for Rising Star of the Year. I think it's important to hold events like these. It was really amazing to see her at the age of 11 there, to have the confidence to do so and to get to meet so many of the winners. As I mentioned, it's important to do events like these for a lot of reasons. First, of course, we want to recognize and honor the work of the leaders, but I also think it's important for us to inspire the next generation of young women leaders. So on that note, I want to thank all of our panelists, our moderators, and our more than 350 nominees for continuing to be great role models for all of our daughters. So thank you all so much. Well, this is a perfect segue into learning about all of the things that our friends at UBS are doing to provide guidance to women. It's now my pleasure to introduce for our keynote conversation, Jennifer Povlitz. She's the Western Division Director at UBS, and she'll be interviewing James Schwartzberg, Head of UBS Strategic Client Segments. They're going to be talking about Own Your Worth, which is centered around UBS's focus on encouraging more women to participate actively in their financial lives. Both women are senior leaders at UBS who share a common purpose of uplifting women within UBS in creating opportunities and promoting women to senior level positions, and also externally by hosting Own Your Worth events designed to inspire and empower their women clients. Jennifer and Jane, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for the warm introduction, Josh. I'm so happy to be here with all of you. UBS has the privilege of yet again being a diamond sponsor of the Los Angeles Business Journal Women's Leadership Awards. And it's truly an honor to be here celebrating the success of so many talented women leaders. UBS Wealth Management. And over the course of my career, I have experienced firsthand the challenges women face in a male-dominated industry, even with many men as allies. So it's long been a focus and passion of mine to support and help lift women in leadership. Recently, my husband asked me what I want my professional impact to be about at this point in my career. He said specifically, Jennifer, what will the next 10 years be about for you? You've already grown businesses with and through people. What's over the wake for you? And upon a lot of reflection, the vision became crystal clear. It is to help more women oversee more capital and own their worth. So it's very meaningful to me that UBS is just as dedicated to empowering women. Our firm has a commitment to not only creating a more diverse and inclusive organization, but also to help women engage and participate in their financial lives. And as part of this focus, UBS has been conducting ongoing research on women and their finances, some very surprising and insightful trends, which we're excited to share today. So to share more, I'm very happy to have Jane Schwartzberg, head of UBS Strategic Client Segments, here with us today. I'm so excited to welcome Jane, who is not only a dear friend and colleague, but importantly, a fellow champion of women. Welcome, Jane.
Jennifer, thank you so very much to you and your team for having me today. And more importantly, thank you for the endless things you do to lift up me and so many other women.
It's a privilege. I know, Jane, you were instrumental in UBS establishing a dedicated strategic women client segment in our client strategy office. So, my first question is, why do you think this was necessary, and what research has been done on this important topic?
So, there are some really good reasons as to why we started and have invested so much in what we call the women's segment, even though, as we all know, women are not a segment, but rather half the world and an enormous part of our population. What we see is that there are some very specific needs and trends when we look at what's going on with women and wealth. And very specifically, we undertook research, our Own Your Worth research, and we interviewed thousands of people. We interviewed women and men. We interviewed people who are in same sex and heterosexual marriages. We interviewed married people. We interviewed single people. And we really wanted to determine what are the important things that are going on and how can we, UBS, as a firm, best serve women. And what we found was that most women who are widowed and divorced, they say very clearly, almost every single one of them say that they wish they had been more financially involved, that they had participated more in their important financial decisions, that they knew more about what was going on financially. And this is incredibly important given the demographic that 8 out of 10 women will be at a long period in their lives alone and in charge of their money.
Wow, those are amazing statistics, some very surprising. And so, given that research, Jane, what are the biggest reasons why women are not engaging in their finances then?
Jennifer, there's a long list of reasons, and I dare say they're actually very good reasons, meaning they make a lot of sense. And they include that gender roles run very deep. So, for those of us that were raised in, let's call it a traditional household, likely we are going to repeat what we saw our parents doing if we don't deliberately try to do differently. And also, there is a lack of confidence. There is an assumption that since men earn more than women, that they somehow are in a position to better manage wealth and make financial decisions. And then there is the reason which I think we can all relate to, which is there are so many demands on our time. There are so many things that require our attention. And so many of us who are in long term partnerships have to set up our lives in a divide and conquer way. So, meaning one person in a partnership will be in charge of some things and the other will take on the others. But the issue is with finances, it can't be a you've got this and I don't want to look at it or I don't need to know, because there too many serious repercussions to not being meaningfully involved with your money.
That's really insightful. And I know another piece of the research that you're talking about is that women, if they are involved, do sort of the day to day budgeting, bills, et cetera, and abdicate the long term investment involvement, which is even more important over the course of your lifetime.
Absolutely right. And what we found in our research is that women, as you say, are very comfortable in the day to day expenses. They are often the ones who are in charge of, let's call it the checkbook. They are making very meaningful purchasing decisions, or if there are children in the house, they're making the decisions about camps or schools, or they are the dominant decision maker. So it's not that they are not comfortable in the realm of money. It's just that when you switch to the longer term matters, things like investing, life insurance, financial planning, you find that women really feel as if they are not, that's not their place, that there's no seat at the table for them, or that that is not the place they belong.
Really well said, Jane. So, what are some easy things that women can do to get started in those longer term important matters?
Good question, and I'll make it really simple. They can start by chatting, by talking, by sharing. Many of us really naturally want to share with each other. And by asking each other questions, by sharing what we are doing, if we have any knowledge, if we have a fantastic financial advisor, if there are some really smart decisions that we have made about investing or about planning, if you're someone who is not sure where to begin, ask. And if you are someone who actually thinks she has a really good answer, share. And by starting the conversation, there is no better way or place that we can kind of blow up the taboo that all the money matters are not a place for women, because they certainly are.
Absolutely. Another piece of the research I was very surprised to hear, I would have guessed and gotten it wrong, is that millennials are actually perpetuating, not transforming this status quo that you talked about. Why do you think that is, and how can we motivate younger generations to engage and not abdicate?
So, this really was one of the big wows of our research. And it was a point that we went back, we checked the data, we checked again. I incorrectly assumed that given the level of discourse, given the level of openness about gender equality in this day and age, where I think all of us as a society are being much clearer about what is tolerable and what's not. My incorrect assumption was that millennials would be financially abdicating the least, that they would be saying, I know how important my finances are, and I'm going to be a full participant, a full partner. And shockingly, we found that millennials are actually giving up financial decision making to their partners at a higher rate than any generation before. So I would say the best thing we can do, if we're aunts or uncles or moms or dads, encourage the next generation to participate. And also, back to what I would say is my generation, if there's trepidation to be a full financial participant, know that you're really setting an example for the next generation. And the more they see women of our generation fully participating, the more they'll have in mind that that is the natural course of things.
Yeah, that is the way to shift and be purpose driven as well. So, given your background and commitment to championing women, how do you, Jane, personally engage with your women relatives, friends, peers? What do you suggest specifically they do?
I'll give you, Jennifer, a non financial answer, which is first of all, as I mentioned before, I really try to share any knowledge that I have. I try to ask questions that may help or support my female relatives and dear friends to get to a better place. And I also really try when there's an opportunity, a job opportunity, an opening, something like that, that I and my team and we as a firm give a very fair and serious and equal look to women. And I also think that it's important, Jennifer, for people who are in positions like you are, that, and I know you do this all the time, that whenever we rise, we make sure to grab some other great women and pull them up with us. And I try to do that in my personal and my professional life.
You definitely do. I know you to do that, Jane, and we do that together, and we lift each other and other women in the process.
Yes, thank you.
So, being in the middle of COVID now, the pandemic has changed a lot in our lives, and obviously is the reason why we're not celebrating this event in person together with the award winners. From the research recently, Jane, how did this pandemic impact women and their roles at home?
Let's start with the really tough facts of the results of COVID. For most of us, we're home. We are often, many of us are home with children, and the workload, the household workload, has gone up dramatically with kids being home. And unfortunately, we've gone backwards in that women are bearing the brunt of the increased home workload. So, in many ways, women have been forced more than anyone else, they've been forced to make choices between taking care of things at home and advancing at work. And it's, I mean, it's a shame. It's the reality of what this challenge has brought us. But there is a silver lining. And the silver lining is that more than ever, women are saying that they now understand how important it is that they become full financial participants. And they're saying that they never imagined something like this to have happened. And now that we've all gone through this, now they really profoundly understand how important it is to know what's going on financially, what they're prepared for, what kind of challenges they might be up to or able to get through if something like this happens again or other unexpected events. As we know, something unexpected happens frequently. And so I do see my glimmer of hope is that COVID, while it has set us back enormously, in terms of financial participation, is going to spur a lot of wonderful change and motivation for women to embrace and have their seat at the money table.
The wake up call, I agree with you, is very important. I know I've talked to quite a number of women during COVID and said, make sure you know whose name is on the titling of everything. The house, the financial statements, even the electric bill. When the power went out in California, one woman called and they said, we can't speak to you. Your name's not on the account. It's very important, Jane, as Jane is saying, to get involved. So final question here for you, Jane. Whether
Sure.
a business owner, working professional, mother, wife, daughter, or male ally, what's one thing that our viewers could do to help women own their worth, control more capital, and encourage their peers to do the same?
Really simple. Speak openly, support each other. Whenever there is, as I said before, whenever there is opportunity, make sure a woman or many women are considered, and make clear, if you're a male ally, that you will not tolerate things as they've been, but you're part of what we're walking towards and working towards. And as a woman, as I said, if you're going anywhere good, lock elbows and bring other women with you.
All important and wonderful advice. And I would add the little bit of advice for women: 50% qualified is perfect. It's plenty. Move forward with that and we'll lock arms together. Thank you so much, Jane.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you again for your commitment and partnership in engaging women in their investments and helping us take control of our financial lives. We're so lucky to have you and your team. And the research is important, eye-opening, and it frankly shows us that we're not alone. We all face uncertainties, stereotypes, and challenges. As a woman leader, investor, wife, and mother, I found, frankly, the best way to start to overcome any uncertainty is to speak to women like you, my peers. We women are inherently sharers. If we had been together in person, I would have taken these last few minutes to encourage you to turn to your peers and the person next to you and tell them what you plan on doing to become more engaged in your finances and what commitments you'd like to make and how you would like to lift up another woman in your network to oversee more capital. And hopefully 2021 brings us the opportunity to meet in person. And until then, I want to reiterate the resources UBS and our women's client segment team has at hand that can help you and your loved ones continue this conversation and ultimately to own your worth. My Money Move quiz, which covers money language, and purposeful dialogue cards, which help with the values-based conversation around money. And if you would like these resources, you see an email below this gorgeous picture we have of a group of fantastic women leaders in Southern California at UBS. You will see them in an upcoming edition of the LA Business Journal. It has been an honor to celebrate with all of you. Thank you and congratulations on your success. I'll turn it back over to you, Josh.
Well, thank you so much. What a great interview.
Thank you for the warm introduction.
And an important conversation. We appreciate all of the efforts that UBS makes to encourage and inform women on owning their worth. Jennifer, Jane, thank you for everything. Well, we made you wait long enough. Now it's time to start our awards portion and to announce our finalists and our winners in each category. This year, as I mentioned early on, we had more than 350 nominees, all of whom are on the cover and inside the pages of this week's Business Journal. If you haven't received it yet, or if you're not a subscriber and you'd like to receive a copy, please send us an email. We'd be happy to send one out to you. It's a fantastic edition, and congratulations to all of you, all 350 plus who are featured this week. We've also created a video that announces each of you in your award categories, which is up on our website for you to view and to share as well. And I'll tell you, as you see the pages here in front of you, and I read through this week's issue, it reminded me just how impressive all of our nominees are this year and how hard it was for our judges. They had a nearly impossible job. So they had to narrow down this amazing list to just 5 finalists in each category, and then ultimately only 1 winner in 6 different categories. Rising Star of the Year, Community Impact Advocate, Volunteer of the Year, Executive of the Year, Entrepreneur of the Year, and CEO of the Year. We're going to go through each category. We'll name all 5 finalists, and then we will announce our winner. Here to announce our first award category, please welcome Laura Mitchell, District Manager, Los Angeles, Wells Fargo. Laura, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Josh, and I am proud to join you all here today. We're truly fortunate to live in this wonderful city of Los Angeles, where opportunities are abundant and our community thrives on our constantly changing diverse population. We're successful businesswomen, and in addition to celebrating our successes, I hope that today we can reflect on how we can continue to excel and also how we can help other women achieve success as well. So thank you again for the opportunity to join you, and congratulations to all of the nominees and winners. So for our first award of the program for Rising Star of the Year, I'd love to introduce our amazing finalists. First off, Frances Ellington, Principal and State and Local Tax Practice Leader for Green, Hassan and Jenks. Frances not only is a leader in state and local taxes, she leads the firm's Women Empowerment Committee and is well known for her support and mentorship of women both in and outside the firm. We also have Marissa Lepore, an investment banking associate with Sage Group. In addition to her position's responsibilities, Marissa runs her firm's intern analyst recruiting and training programs, helping develop its talent and culture. Next, we have Liz Waldeck-Pinkart, a regional lead client partnerships North America for AdColony. Liz led her team to increase revenue by $2 million within an 8-month period and continues to have the largest impact of enabled revenue for AdColony. Next, we have Caroline Young, VP for Corporate Partnership for the Los Angeles Sparks. Since joining the team in 2016, Kay has helped pilot new corporate and community initiatives while increasing revenue and monetizing new assets. And finally, Ksenia Udina, founder and CEO of Unest. Ksenia has spearheaded the development of Unest, the breakthrough fintech solution, and raises funding from leading venture capital funds. Congratulations to all of our finalists. The 2020 honoree for Rising Star of the Year is Ksenia Udina, founder and CEO of Unest. She's the founder CEO of Unest, which is the mobile app that makes it easier than ever before for parents to save money for their children's future. While helping families avoid educational financial struggles, she also teamed up with professional athletes, including NBA All-Star Baron Davis, to support neighborhood initiatives in LA's inner city by providing lower income families access to financial resources. She's with us today, and we'd love to have her say a few brief words.
Yes, hi everyone, excited to be here. Really honored to receive this award, and I just wanted to say a huge thank you to the Los Angeles Business Journal for the recognition and for making the impact to the community by recognizing exceptional female leaders. And I'm so proud to live in LA and build a company in LA and be a part of the growing tech community on this mission to help democratize access to financial solutions to families of all incomes, all economical backgrounds. So I just want to say thank you for your leadership, for recognition, and for creating more female role models.
Congratulations so much. I'd love to ask you a couple of questions so our audience can get to know you a little bit better. So tell us, when did you first decide that you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
I would say that, I always had that entrepreneurial spirit, but to be honest with you, I went to business school, wanted to have a very stable corporate career. So I would say that, this desire to become an entrepreneur and build a company was just a recognition that in order to solve the problem and pioneer the change and build something, you actually have to jump the ship with your successful, secure job and try to start the company from scratch. So it was actually in 2018 when I decided to build a company.
That's fantastic. What would you say is the hardest part of your job?
The hardest part of my job right now, I would say, relevant to this time, is just, not being able to see the team in person, because you build this company, you build this amazing team, you have so much backing, people believe in your vision, they joined and they trying to build and change future for the entire generation, and you want to be able to celebrate the victories with them. You want to, spend some time with them and, have a happy hour. And unfortunately, during the pandemic, that's the biggest challenge, I would say, just not being able to see everyone in person.
Agreed. Well, congratulations again. It was wonderful to get to know a little bit more about you. And Josh, I'll hand it back over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Laura, and congratulations to all of our Rising Star finalists and to Ksenia, our honoree. Next, I'd like to welcome Karen Jackson. She's Executive Director of Recruitment for Pepperdine Graziadio Business School to present the next award. Karen?
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here participating in the Los Angeles Business Journal Women in Leadership Awards. Pepperdine Graziadio Business School has a history of developing best in the world leaders through the Center for Women in Leadership under the direction of Dr. Bernice Ledbetter, who is one of the LABJ panelists. Women increase their competencies so that they are positioned to take on leadership roles at the highest level of an organization if they so choose. I have the privilege of announcing the Community Impact Advocate category. It's an honor to recognize the extraordinary women being acknowledged for this award. These are women of compassion, ingenuity, and vision who support their communities in a positive way. They boldly tackle their various current challenges while aptly plotting the change they would like to see in the future. Our first finalist is Sandra Evers Manley, Vice President, Global Corporate Responsibility at Northrop Grumman. Sandra is dedicated to the development and advancement of students, founding the Black Hollywood Education and Resource Center, and is affiliated with many other empowerment organizations. Patricia Glaser, Partner and Chair of the Litigation Department, Glaser Wheel. Patricia serves on the board of directors of several prominent arts organizations, including the Los Angeles Music Center Theater Group and Geffen Playhouse. Suzanne Lerner, co-founder and president, Michael Stars. Suzanne launched the Michael Stars Foundation, allowing her brand to financially support organizations providing pathways to equality in the US and around the world. Lola Lavoie, owner and president, Beverly Hills Escrow and Working Dream. Lola has been an active and passionate advocate for foster youth, being a mentor for hundreds and a foster parent for many years. And Lisa Woods, COO of Groundswell Group. Lisa forges relationships with nonprofit organizations and ensures funding to support their work is what is received, along with leading and producing large fundraising events. Congratulations to all of our finalists. The 2020 honoree for Community Impact Advocate of the Year is Lisa Woods, COO of Groundswell Group. As mentioned, Lisa not only runs the operations for Groundswell Group, she manages thousands of nonprofit relationships. Some of these organizations include APLA Health, Muscular Dystrophy Association, American Brain Tumor Association, and March of Dimes, to name a few. She leads the efforts to get these nonprofit organizations the funding and support they need in order to give back to our communities. Lisa, congratulations. We'd like to invite you to say a few words.
Thank you so much. This is a huge honor. So thank you to the LA Business Journal for not only this, but all the learnings that I have benefited from over the years from you guys. Thank you very much. I also would like to thank my entire team over at Groundswell Group, and specifically my business partner and dear friend, Noel Lax, who challenges me and really pushes me every day and has believed in me from day one of this partnership. And lastly, want to really thank my family, my husband and 3 kids, for the early mornings, the sleepless nights, the crazy travel schedule, and supporting me all through it and being my biggest cheerleaders, because it would be impossible without them. So thank you. I just want to say I've never been more sure of the importance of our impact than I am today and what's going on in the world. As I look around and see what's happening, not just in our community, but in communities across America and across the world, I know for certain that we are stronger together. And that means that we really need to continue to support and lift each other up in meaningful ways. And for everyone, that can look really different. It could be by learning and educating yourself. It could be by acceptance and having meaningful conversations. It could be volunteering or donating financially. But whatever that is, I think that it has never been more apparent that we really all need to stick together and support each other. And we all really need to do our part. And I am extremely proud of what we've created over at Groundswell Group over the last 8 years, that we have always been committed to this and will continue to be, and really celebrate what everyone has to offer. I think it's a critical time, but I am proud to be doing the work that I'm doing.
That's great. Congratulations again, Lisa. I did want to ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
What is the most rewarding part about working with nonprofits?
The most rewarding part for me, I think, is, and I've worked on both sides of it. So I think for me, being able to go in and forge these relationships with nonprofits and be able to benefit them financially, but also help them in terms of a business sense, because a lot of the nonprofits don't see themselves as businesses. And so I think that that's been something that, aside from the obvious financial benefit that they're receiving, they're also being mentored and coached with how they can look at things differently and how they can leverage their relationships in a more productive way for them moving forward. That's one of my biggest accomplishments.
Okay, great. And what is something you've learned during the pandemic and your nonprofit work?
So much. During the pandemic, as I said earlier, it's never been so obvious how much everyone needs to help each other. Specifically with nonprofits, what we're seeing is that they're really suffering financially because so many people around the world are suffering financially. And so their giving isn't as high. People aren't able, understandably, to give as much. And that's been something that's been a real challenge. I've had countless conversations with nonprofit partners of ours that are really struggling to provide for their communities and the people that really rely on them, because the money is not there right now. So they're, scrapping and making do with what they have to try to really continue their mission, which they're so committed to, but it's a domino effect, and we're seeing it all over.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Well, Lisa, thanks for everything you do for our LA community. Josh, back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen, and congratulations, Lisa. Next, I'd like to welcome Genevieve Vidya. She's the president of the Women's Business Connection at UCLA Anderson School of Management. Genevieve?
Thank you, Josh. My name is Genevieve Vidya, and I'm a second-year full-time MBA student at UCLA Anderson. Prior to pursuing my MBA, I worked in consulting as a manager in Accenture's health and public service practice, and I came to business school to pivot into product management at a digital health company. As Josh mentioned, I am the current president of the UCLA Anderson Women's Business Connection. The Women's Business Connection is a professional club, and our overall mission is to foster an inclusive community that elevates all Anderson women and equips our diverse members with the resources to form meaningful relationships, grow professionally, and thrive. We strive to support, develop, and challenge influential and inclusive business leaders who may one day be recognized at events just like this one. At Anderson, I'm also a co-VP of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion for the Admissions Ambassador Corps, the VP of Fundraising and Sponsorships for Challenge for Charity, which is a student-run nonprofit with the mission of instilling a lifelong commitment to community involvement and social responsibility. And lastly, I am a board fellow with the Fulfillment Fund, which is a local nonprofit focused on college access and college success. So needless to say, getting involved and giving back to the community is incredibly important to me. And given this, I'm especially thrilled to represent Anderson in celebrating all of the inspirational and impactful women business leaders here today. And with that, I have the distinct pleasure of announcing the finalists and our winner in the Volunteer of the Year category. Our finalists are Laura Brill, founding partner at Kendall, Brill and Kelly. Laura founded the Civic Center to educate teens about civics and voter pre-registration and help them conduct high school voter registration drives. Sarah Ducey, Commissioner of Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority. Sarah works full-time as a volunteer, helping create a greater focus on systems change, fiscal efficiency, unsheltered homelessness, and fueling a sense of urgency. Linda Kim, Vice President at Bank of America. During this pandemic, Linda has donated over 1,000 reusable face masks to nonprofit organizations, staff, and to the communities they serve. Co-chairs Maddie McFadden Lawson and Giselle Fernandez of City Year Los Angeles. Maddie and Giselle lead the board to increase City Year's impact as the organization's work takes on new urgency given the impact of COVID-19 on public education. And Rebecca Rothstein, Managing Director and Private Wealth Advisor at Merrill Lynch. Rebecca spearheads Teen Cancer America, bringing specialized care, facilities, and resources to teens and young adults with cancer. And our 2020 Volunteer of the Year winners are co-chairs Maddie McFadden Lawson and Giselle Fernandez at City Year Los Angeles. As co-chairs of City Year Los Angeles, we decided to honor this dynamic duo together as a pair. Aside from being co-chair, Maddie McFadden Lawson is president of the MML Group and specializes in creating strategic partnerships for nonprofits and sits on many boards, including the Music Center and the Grammy Museum. And Giselle Fernandez is executive director, news and news anchor for Spectrum TV and a 5-time Emmy award-winning journalist, producer, and filmmaker, and sat on the board of CHLA for 8 years. Congratulations to this inspiring duo. Maddie and Giselle, we'd like to invite you to unmute and say a few words.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the Los Angeles Business Journal for this tremendous honor. And congratulations to all of our current finalists and for those that will be announced later. We're in a very esteemed group of young women. We're humbled to be considered along with so many incredible women who are making a difference across Los Angeles. For decades, Giselle and I have served our communities, raising awareness about issues affecting people of color and advocating for causes that we believe in deeply. Our paths have crossed throughout our careers, and today we serve as co-chairs of City Year Los Angeles, which is such a tremendous honor for us, lifting up our communities of Brown and Black children to make sure that they receive an education and have a hope and a future. While we both served on the City Year Los Angeles board for many years, we are proud to serve together as co-chairs. Now I will have Giselle provide comments and accept this award as well.
Thank you so much to the Los Angeles Business Journal. We're so honored. I mean, we care deeply about being of service, and we work together to empower our communities, our underserved communities, and especially now during this pandemic and this outcry for social justice. The work that we do, especially with City Year Los Angeles, is so vital. We literally give kids with so much potential the tools to be able to be mentored and to have in-class tutoring and social emotional learning. It is so vital that regardless of zip code, that our kids have the chance to fulfill their potentials. And so we're so happy to be the first women to chair the City Year Board. We're thrilled to have this honor because it allows us to shine light on an organization that we truly believe is one of the biggest solutions to the education crisis in this country. And right now, this pandemic, one of the things we've learned is that our work is more vital in this city than ever before. We give a bridge to tomorrow. We are equity in education. And it's vital right now that we give our kids, our beautiful brown and Black kids who have so much potential, a chance to show us who they are. Maddie has this great saying, "We see you." So thank you to the LABJ. Thank you so much for acknowledging our work, and congratulations to all the women. We admire and revere the service that you provide this city as well. So thank you.
Thank you both for the inspirational work you're doing in our community. And congratulations again. Now, I'd like to ask just a few questions to learn a little bit more about both of you. The first question is, how does your work with City Year compare to your other nonprofit work?
Well, here, I feel that we're making such an incredible difference and an impact on these students and the communities that we serve. Because when you really look at it, it's the least of these. And we're working in an environment to encourage them that they can be the best that they can be. And we're there to support them on this journey to greatness.
You know what, most of the boards that Maddie and I do sit on or have sat on, they all empower communities of color that suffer such inequity that we're seeing amplified through COVID right now. But City Year, I have to say, and I think we both agree,
Absolutely.
we have metrics to show our success. And what does success look like at City Year Los Angeles? We are helping kids that would otherwise fall through the cracks graduate. On Zoom calls right now, we're making sure that we reach those kids, that they do not fall behind because of virtual learning or lack of tablets or lack of Wi-Fi. We're on it. We have AmeriCorps members who are peer-to-peer mentors who are in the classroom online with them and making sure those kids know we care about them, we see their potential. So I guess, you know, our passion is our community, but City Year really gets the job done. And we're so thrilled to be at the helm of this organization. We have an amazing team and staff and board. So I think we make a difference. As I said, and people say, Giselle, really? We believe it's the solution to the inequities in education in this country and certainly in LA.
That's amazing. That's so important. And last question, what suggestion would you give to our viewers who want to get involved and give back to our communities?
cityyear.org/Los Angeles. We need partners. We need sponsors. We need core members. We need everyone in the city, every stakeholder, every corporate brand, every thought leader to understand if you want to be part of equity in education and leveling the playing field for kids, regardless of zip code, color of skin, economic status, City Year Los Angeles is already in play. We are equity in motion.
Absolutely. And we have been doing this amazing work for almost 15 years. And we encourage anyone who would like to join us to please go online, reach out to us, and we will be more than willing to welcome you to help us on this journey.
Yes, we're in it together.
Thank you both. And Josh, back to you.
Thank you. Congratulations to both Maddie and Giselle. And I'll also say that, you know, when you're looking at a category like Volunteer of the Year, as we sat and we talked about each of them and eventually came to our 5 finalists and then our winner, we could very well have given out 35 awards to every single nominee in that category because they're all doing such great, impactful work in our community. So congratulations to every nominee that's in that category, to our 5 finalists, and then to our 2 winners. Next up, to announce our 4th category, I'd like to welcome Joseph Mazza. He's Los Angeles and Southwest Market Leader for RSM. Joe, welcome.
Thanks, Josh. Hello, everyone. I'm Joe Mazza with RSM, a global audit, tax, and consulting business. And it's my pleasure to be here today to celebrate the finalists for the Women's Leadership Awards. At RSM, we believe in the value of diversity, inclusion, and allyship, which is why we continue to be a proud sponsor of this program, which recognizes outstanding achievements and the contributions of leaders in the LA business community. Today, I am honored to present the award for Executive of the Year. Our finalists are Nicole Duckett, General Counsel and Vice President, Political and Community Affairs of the LA Clippers. Nicole built the Clippers' legal department from the ground floor up as the organization's first in-house counsel. Erica Huggins, President of Fuzzy Door. Erica oversees all development and creative direction for the production company's content creation, as well as the firm literature, music, and digital media. We have Helen Kim, Managing Director of Vita Ventures. At Vita, Helen is laser focused on aligning with incubators to nurture early science in areas of unmet need and bringing scientific innovation to LA. And we have Layla Ruhi, President of Ring. Layla is starting a book club for Ring employees, focusing on titles that highlight diversity and inclusion. She's passionate about bringing more racial and gender diversity into the workplace. And we have Kelly Sager, partner, David Wright Tremaine, LLP. Kelly is a strong advocate and role model for women litigators, striving to eliminate disparate treatment of perception of women in the profession. This year's honoree for Executive of the Year is Helen Kim, Managing Director of Vita Ventures. Helen is one of the most accomplished women business leaders in biotechnology with nearly 3 decades of leadership experience and a record of outstanding accomplishments. Her firm's mission is to expand life sciences in Los Angeles and beyond by advancing biomedical innovations. When she's not working, she dedicates her time to mentoring the next generation of life sciences leaders, which is work in and of itself. Helen, congratulations. We'd like to invite you to say a few words.
Thank you, Joe. I'm extremely honored and humbled to be selected here. And I am earnestly grateful for the recognition because I am very sure that all the other nominees for this award was as capable, if not more, deserving this award. I'd like to thank Los Angeles Business Journal, as well as those who nominated and supported my nomination. And more importantly, thank you to the stakeholders in the LA life science community. A little bit about Vita Ventures. Vita Ventures is a young life science venture firm. We're about 3 years old, but with approximately $1 billion in assets under management, investing in scientists and entrepreneurs who are relentlessly pursuing innovations to treat significant diseases such as cancer and other life-threatening diseases. So before I became a venture capitalist in biotech, and actually I became a venture capitalist in 2018. My professional association in biotech started in 1989 when I moved from Chicago to San Francisco, where I helped to start and build biotech companies as an entrepreneur and as an operator. And then ultimately culminating in my operating career and joining Kite Pharma in Santa Monica in 2014. Kite Pharma is really an exceptional company that was founded by Ari Baldegren, who has been a serial entrepreneur in biotech space while he was serving and is still continuing to serve as director of the UCLA Institute of Urologic Oncology. And Kite Pharma, under Ari's leadership, successfully developed and launched a life-saving therapy called Yescarta, which is an immunotherapy that is specifically designed for each patient for treatment of late-stage leukemias and lymphomas when patients completely run out of alternatives. And treatments with Yescarta has resulted in saving lives of many patients, often completely eradicating diseases. When patients were told that they have 6 months to live, we now have patients who are disease-free after 5 years. And that the data continue to accumulate where we know that Yescarta and other cell therapies are having major impact. So in 2017, because of Kite Pharma's success, we were acquired by Gilead. I was the head of corporate business development, and Dr. Baldegren and I negotiated the sale of Kite Pharma to Gilead, and we required them to keep Kite Pharma in the LA, Santa Monica, LA, El Segundo cities where we had significant presence. And we also, with some of our colleagues from Kite, saw the potential for expanding biotech ecosystem in LA, where there are tremendous scientific talent and institutions. And so we decided that Vita Ventures should have a presence in LA and really focus in LA to build the biotech ecosystem that could compete with San Francisco and Boston, the two areas where there's significant biotech presence. And so we opened up our LA office in 2019. I personally believe, after being in biotech for over 30-something years and having built and managed many companies and having brought really, impactful therapies to market, now is more exciting time to be in life sciences, and even more so to be working in life sciences in Los Angeles. The deep expertise that Vita has, and it positions us to continue to identify key opportunities for investments in disruptive technologies. And we really believe that collaboration is everything. And Vita has been able to align with incubators, entrepreneurs, academic institutions, and other investors to nurture early science from discovery through commercialization and bring scientific innovations to LA. And as part of this legacy, we believe that it's also critical to develop the next generation of life science leaders. So given our extensive relationships with entrepreneurs and academic institutions, we created a fellowship program in Los Angeles as part of Vita to attract the best talent with diverse backgrounds, those with MDs, PhDs, MBAs from top local institutions, many of whom have joined from UCLA, Caltech, and USC. And so in summary, I personally have been so incredibly fortunate over the last 3 decades throughout my career to have great mentors such as Ari Baldegren and others. Unfortunately, early in my career, there were no women. In fact, I sit on boards of many biotech companies where often I am the only director on the board. And because I have benefited from just great mentors, which frankly were mostly men, I have been able to mentor other women and others who are really interested in the biotech and building companies. And so I've been very fortunate to be in this industry, and I continue to be inspired by scientists, physicians, and other entrepreneurs working together to advance important therapies for patients.
Congratulations again, Helen. Just a quick question for you. You talk about mentoring the next generation of life science leaders. What's the most challenging aspect of that?
I think the most challenging aspects of working with entrepreneurs, it depends on kind of where they come from. Often entrepreneurs are scientists or physician scientists with great, ideas, intellectual properties, and it's really the challenges in partnering with them to provide kind of business perspective and to try to help them to develop a business plan and raise capital and to develop these technologies in the most efficient, effective way to get these therapies to patients as fast as possible. And there's a lot of science, there's a lot of regulation with dealing with the FDA, and in Europe with EMA and other regulatory authorities. And it's really partnering and educating them to help maneuver their path to building the company value so that they can get the products eventually to patients.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for that. Congratulations again. Josh, I'll hand it back to you.
Congratulations, Helen. Thank you so much, Joe. All right, so we're down to our final 2 awards this afternoon. Now to announce our next award, I'd like to welcome Marianne Kaler, Partner and Chief Marketing and Strategy Officer for Greenhouse and Jenks and Strategist for GHJ Foundation. Marianne, welcome.
Thanks so much, Josh. I appreciate it. What an exciting series this conference has been, and it's just a delight to be with so many great women. As a partner at GHJ, for those who don't know us, we're a tax, accounting, and advisory firm, and it's in our DNA to celebrate differences, women being a part of that. So this event has been a signature event for us at GHJ for some time to demonstrate our commitment, not only to our women, but to those in the community. We feel very passionately about that. Similarly, we're very inspired by innovation. So it's a particular honor to have the opportunity to recognize the award for Entrepreneur of the Year. I'm going to name our finalists, if I may. The first finalist is Gail Becker. Gail is the founder and CEO of Cauliflower. Gail discovered a gap in healthy and nutritious gluten-free options in the food industry. And in 2017, she created Cauliflower. Today, they are the 3rd fastest growing food company in the country. Our next finalist is Samantha Edis. She is the founder and CEO of Park Place Payments. Samantha is best-selling author and on the board of the Forbes School of Business and Technology. Her company's mission is to provide a career path in financial services to women who are returning to the workplace. The next finalist is Cooper Harris, the founder and CEO of Kickly. Cooper founded Kickly, an AI impulse payments platform at the nexus of payments, commerce, and big data, creating a huge efficiency in the market. She is a major advocate of women in tech. The next finalist is Laura Hertz. Laura is the CEO and co-founder of Gifts for Good. When Laura noticed how much money companies were spending on branded gifts, she created Gifts for Good, selling products made by over 40 nonprofits and social enterprises. And the final finalist is Melanie Strickland, the co-founder and chief strategy officer of Slingshot Aerospace. Using her military experience and passion for aerospace technology, Melanie co-founded Slingshot Aerospace and is responsible for the company's strategic vision and growth strategy. Congratulations to all the finalists. We love entrepreneurs and women entrepreneurs even more so. May I announce that the honoree for the LABJ 2020 Entrepreneur Women of the Year is Gail Becker, founder and CEO of Cauliflower. I'm going to say a few words about Gail, if I may. Gail's career has spanned media, politics, and business, holding executive positions in all of the above. But it's the title of mom that really launched her into the next career, which is as a mom of 2 boys with celiac disease, she was not happy with what the industry was offering. So she boldly left her job in corporate America to do something about it, launching Cauliflower in 2017. In less than 3 years, Cauliflower has been recognized as a true disruptor, and Gail has been recognized as a true disruptor as well, and arguably has redefined a new category with Cauliflower as one of the fastest growing food brands. #1 in Better For You pizza in the United States, and is available nationwide and beyond. Final word on giving back, because as you can imagine, a big reason for folks getting selected today. You'll notice a theme in that giving back is very important. And Gail serves on many boards and also commits a great deal of her energy and the Kala Power commitment back to worthy causes, particularly during the pandemic, has done an enormous amount to give back to the community. So Gail, congratulations, and couldn't be happier. If you would like to take yourself off mute, I'd love to congratulate you formally and also ask you a couple of questions so the audience could get to know you just a little bit better.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. And thanks to all the amazing women today. You know, as I always say, there's only one way to ensure that there are more female-owned businesses, not just in this city, but in this country. And the only way to do that is to support female-owned businesses. So I know I have lots of new products and lots of new apps to try, and I couldn't be more thrilled. And I just, it's really just an honor to be with everyone today.
So Gail, describing your career path, you're a true pioneer. You've done so many things in so many different areas. So the question that I most wanted to ask you is, what's the best advice that you've ever gotten?
So the best advice that I ever received was actually from my father. And, you know, my father is really the reason that I even became an entrepreneur in the first place. He was an immigrant to this country. He was actually a Holocaust survivor. He came here with nothing, and he built a small business in San Francisco. And it was really his passing that made me realize I wanted to, you know, honor him in some way by following in the entrepreneurial footsteps. And, you know, he said to me something once that I sort of have lived my life by, and that is that education is the one thing that no one can ever take away from you. And I think when I, and I'm sure others who are listening are contemplating starting a business or, you know, entering a field that they know nothing about, as certainly I did. I knew nothing about food. You know, I really looked at it as an educational experience, and I surrounded myself with people who could teach me. And, you know, I was a sponge when I first started, and frankly, I'm still a sponge, and I learn something new every day. I think there's sort of a misnomer amongst some entrepreneurs that you feel like you have to know everything. You're the founder of the company, you're the founder of the business, you somehow have to have all the answers. But actually, that couldn't be further from the truth. I think to be, you know, a really impactful entrepreneur, the best thing you can do is admit what you don't know and surround yourself with people who can teach you. And this entire experience is really one of the most educational of my life.
Thank you for that. That's very moving. I'm a big fan of yours. You inspire me, and you're a role model to so many. So the final question I want to ask you is, what advice do you have? I'm sure we have many, many women who are watching this event right now who would love to step into the entrepreneur space. What advice do you have for those women to get into the entrepreneur space and follow in your footsteps?
That's pretty easy for me. And I would say, you know, starting a business is a lot like having kids, in the sense that if you wait for the right time, it's never going to happen. And I think, you know, there really is no ideal time to start a business. I know people argue, you know, that the pandemic is actually a horrible time. I might argue differently. I think that, you know, not only do we all have more time to think and pursue and execute upon our ideas, but there's never been more problems to solve. So I would just encourage, you know, all the women out there to just remember, don't look for the perfect time, because it may not ever appear. Just take a bet on yourself and see what happens. And I think more often than not, we're all certainly better for trying, and obviously for cheering each other on.
That's great advice, Gail. Thank you so much. And congratulations to all the finalists. And also, Gail, I want to thank you not only for being a role model, but also as a customer who has, during the pandemic, a freezer full of Colipower products. I'm sure you couldn't have imagined how popular your brand would be during this time when we all needed convenient and delicious food in our freezer. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for reminding me, because I'd actually like to give anyone listening or watching today a free Colipower product. If you direct message us on Facebook or Instagram and you use and you just type in Los Angeles Business Journal to us, we'll send you a coupon for a free product. You know, we all need more joy these days, and it's certainly my pleasure to do so for this amazing audience.
Thank you for that. And with that, Josh, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Congratulations, Gail. Thank you so much, Marianne, for being a longstanding supporter of this event. Gail, I have a feeling your Instagram is going to be blowing up soon, so be on the lookout.
I hope so.
We thank you for that generous offer. All right, we are down to our final award of the afternoon. Here to present our last award is Jennifer Pavlitz, West Division Director with UBS. Jennifer, welcome back.
Thank you, Josh, and congratulations to all the award winners. You women are certainly the road less traveled. Your success and purposeful leadership are inspiring to women everywhere, and frankly to me listening. And as I shared earlier in my conversation with Jane Schwartzberg, it's my true passion to lift women and help them oversee more capital, your own capital and your own financial picture, but also women in leadership overseeing capital as business leaders. You know, we often hear about the glass ceiling and barriers that women face to get to a C-suite position. But the McKinsey and Lean study last year showed that the first real obstacle is right after entry level. It's that first step to manager that we need to fix. They called it the broken rung. And the gap in how many women there are in an entry level position versus how many make it to the first level of management is a 10% drop for women. So ultimately, that makes us behind and leading to the fact that there's only 21% of C-suite roles filled by women. And yet, we know this, diverse companies actually perform better, as evidenced by their stock price over the last 5 years, 10% versus 2.4% annual stock price for the 10 least diverse companies versus most. So we know diversity is a competitive performance advantage and a financial advantage, but this crowd knows that. So with that, I'm so excited to acknowledge 5 fantastic women who have not only defied these odds and clearly the broken rung, but also burst through the glass ceiling to achieve that CEO position today. I had the pleasure of virtually meeting these 5 impressive leaders just a week ago and heard about each of their unique backgrounds, their companies, and frankly, their personal missions. And the common theme that I noticed amongst these women is their gratitude for their fellow women leaders. We have such strength when we come together, and I'm confident this strength will last far beyond this awards ceremony for sure. And as Jane Schwartzberg mentioned when we had that dialogue you saw earlier, we all need to link arms together and bring women with us and up with us wherever we go. So with that, I'm excited to introduce the finalists for our final award today, CEO of the Year. Our 5 finalists are Danielle Bruno, CEO of Tender Greens. And under her stewardship, not only is Tender Greens positioned to grow successfully nationwide, but it's also poised to reach the brand's higher purpose of transforming lives within the company and its communities. Second, we have someone I knew before this event and respect and admire greatly, Kelly Coffey, the CEO of City National Bank. Kelly became the 4th CEO in City National's history, CEO of the largest bank based in LA here, and one of only 3 women CEOs in the country's 50 largest banks. And let me tell you, being in this industry myself, I know what an incredible accomplishment that is. Next, Jean Freeman, CEO of Zambezi. Since 2017, Jean expanded the agency's offerings to include cross-communication strategy, creative media, and analytics services, and a female consumer insights practice and production division. And last but certainly not least, Anushay Oxkuian, CEO of Ship and Shore Environmental. She has over 2 decades of experience in industrial air pollution capture and control equipment. Thank you for making it easier for us to breathe, by the way, from engineering, design, fabrication to maintenance. And she places a huge importance on mentorship. And then last but not least, for sure, a company that so many of us have heard of and participated in, Erin Rank, CEO of Habitat for Humanity. Erin has directly built homes not only in Los Angeles, but around the world, helping to realize Habitat's vision of a world where everyone has a decent place to live. Congratulations to all our well-deserving finalists. And now for the virtual drum roll, the 2020 CEO of the Year is Danielle Bruno of Tender Greens. Danielle is a Los Angeles native who prior to Tender Greens was part of the team who created and oversaw the rollout of the first 25 Apple stores. What would we do without our Apple products? And was responsible for opening 55 dry bar locations. We know of those too. Her experience of evolving iconic brands to best-in-class household names led her to Tender Greens. And during the pandemic, Tender Greens partnered with local farmers to offer grocery boxes. Also, she's committed that by the end of this year, 50%, half of their leadership positions will be filled by women. That's awesome. Danielle, congratulations. And now we'd like to invite you to unmute and to say a few words.
Thank you, Jennifer. Wow, I'm incredibly honored and humbled to receive this award. I was humbled to receive the nomination, so actually receiving the award is amazing, and I am incredibly excited to have the opportunity to be part of this. Thank you to the Los Angeles Business Journal. Thank you also to Greenberg Glusker, Joel Weinstein in particular, who I believe nominated me for this award. They've been a great partner to Tender Greens. And just being amongst this group of such esteemed women is incredibly humbling. So thank you very much. We did take on what I didn't realize because I was new to the food industry when I joined Tender Greens about 3 years ago. But in the world of the executive chefs, there is quite a stereotype of what an executive chef looks like. And he looks very similar to what a CEO looks like. So I think when I learned that in the restaurant world, there was such a huge disproportionate number of men in executive chef roles at restaurants, it was important to me to make it my mission to create some equity there. Knowing that at least 50% of the people who graduated from culinary school were women, it seemed like this gap should be easy to close. So my team and I made a huge commitment to really just taking a look at who's qualified and helping to support and grow people in those roles. I'm happy to say that it was our goal to achieve this number of complete equity by the end of 2020. And we actually achieved it at the beginning of the year. So now more than 50% of our executive chefs and all of the managers and all of our restaurants in every location, we have more than 50%. So we're above parity now. And now we're going to let nature take its course, because now we have role models in every location that we think are going to help drive the next generation. And I'm really proud of it. And I'm really proud of the team. And I'm really honored to run an organization like Tender Greens, which has been such an important staple in the Los Angeles and Southern California area for over 15 years. Thank you.
Congratulations. That's fantastic that you've already achieved that parity. Given that your background is in different industries, we're just curious so the audience can get to know you a little bit better. You've clearly had success growing different businesses. What led you, Danielle, to Tender Greens, and how did you get there?
Well, I joined Tendergreens for a similar reason to the other organizations I've been lucky to be a part of. So as you mentioned, I worked for Apple for several years. I also ran Pete's Coffee retail stores for many years. I was the president of retail for Dry Bar. And one of the things I say that these businesses have in common is the same woman who would get a blowout might also drink Pete's Coffee, use an Apple computer, and probably eats at Tendergreen. So it's a consumer that I feel very connected to. It's a business that I was a consumer of. I actually ate at Tendergreens multiple times a week when I first got the phone call to come join the team. And even back then, before I knew as much about the company as I do today, I loved the food, I loved the service, I loved the locations, and it seemed like a great opportunity to become a part of an organization that I knew was going to have the opportunity to grow significantly over the next several years.
Well, we're sure glad you did. Final question of the afternoon, because we're all passionate about this. How do you think we can get more women into C-suite roles?
Yeah, I think, gosh, I mean, mainly I think we all need to challenge our assumptions about who should be in these roles. And I think that's both for men and women. I think, you know, when we go into an interview or when we start considering in our organization things like succession planning, I think it's important for us to all consider that we shouldn't have a stereotype of what the person in the role should look like. There are lots of people who have been very successful breaking out of mold. And one thing that I've shared many times is, you know, we all spend a lot of time early in our career trying to fit into a mold. And we make compromises and we make changes and we do things maybe that are outside of our own nature just because we've seen other people who have been successful do those things. But it really isn't until a little bit later in your career that you realize the people that have been most widely successful are the ones who actually stepped out of that mold and who were willing to do things differently. So I think if we all consider the fact that there's probably somebody out there who could be the most successful person in a role, who looks and acts and thinks differently than what any of us have ever considered before for those roles, we're probably going to be better off for it. And as women, we need to not question ourselves. I think, you know, it's important when you see an opportunity to take it, to ask for it. The opportunities I've had in my career are all because I've asked for it. The answer wasn't always yes, but I always pushed for it because I thought, you know, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's going to ask for it. Why not let it be me? And you just need to really trust yourself in those moments. And I think more women need to do that. More women need to encourage each other and step up and take the challenge. And sometimes you'll get it, even if you think you're not ready for it. Sometimes that's okay too, because you'll quickly get up to speed. And there have been many, many successful people who took a job before they felt ready for it and then really killed it. So I think we all just need to push each other a little bit harder to get there.
Lots of pearls of wisdom there. Challenge our assumptions, look outside the box, have the courage to step into something, even if we only feel 50% qualified. Congratulations on CEO of the Year, Danielle, and to all the winners. Josh, I'll turn it back to you.
Well, thank you so much, Jennifer. Congratulations, Danielle. How about a virtual round of applause for every single one of our nominees this year? Again, over 350 amazing women that we wrote about in this past Monday's issue. So again, if you have not received it yet, or if you would like to receive it and you're not a subscriber, email us at events@labusinessjournal.com. We'd be happy to send you a copy. We're incredibly appreciative to have such amazing sponsors who have been through this entire series with us starting earlier this month. So I want to thank all of them again for your continued partnerships. I want to remind you that you'll be able to read more about our finalists and more details about our winner in next Monday's edition of the LA Business Journal, both in print and the digital format. And then also we want to tell you that we have been recording this entire session, so it'll be available on our website probably tomorrow for you to share if there's people in your life that you'd like to make sure that they see it or didn't have an opportunity to join you today. So thank you so much for being a part of what we consider an outstanding, interesting, inspirational, informative month celebrating women's leadership. We look forward to hopefully seeing you in person next year, but if not, We'll do it again in a great format like this. Thank you all for being a part of it. Have a good day.